All right. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Allie Hutchinson. I am a staff minister at OCSL. My pronouns are she and they, and I will be your host tonight at our Wednesday night Oasis service. Oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed midweek. Most Wednesday night services build on the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing signs of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal and intimate and interactive. Our annual theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper, and our monthly theme for March is The Flow of Coming and Going. Last Sunday, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister, introduced ideas inspired by this week's theme, The Still Small Voice. And
Yeah.
tonight, Reverend Sunshine Michelle and our speaker will continue the exploration of that same topic. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon. Look at the lower left-hand corner of the page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving our newsletter, The Village News, once a week, and it has all the information about what's happening in our center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk, please mute your microphone if it's not already. When you mute the microphone, it helps to improve the quality of the recording and tonight's transmission. And you can leave your camera on if you like. Please stay tuned through the end of the service to hear a whole bunch of important announcements about what's going on at the center. Our speaker tonight is Reverend Aikya Param. Reverend Aikya serves as a staff minister at Oakland CSL. She earned a master's degree in women's spirituality from New College of California in San Francisco and a certificate in spiritual leadership from the Holmes Institute of Consciousness Studies. She creates visual art with fountain pen and watercolor and writes articles and poems, and also led a prison ministry for 20 years. She's a member of Bay Area independent publishers. You can find her poetry book, Near Me, published in 2024 in the OCSL bookstore. A book of essays comes out in 2025. Her articles and poems are available in her publication, Emergence, on Substack. So thank you in advance for being our speaker tonight, Reverend Aikya. But first, we always start our services with prayer. So doing the invocation or the opening prayer tonight will be Dodi Cheney Fernandez, religious science practitioner emerita. So I will turn this over now to Dodi.
Good evening, Grand Rising. For us to get started, let's just take a breath and hold it for a second and let it go slowly out. In the consciousness of one, accepting and knowing God is all that there is and there's nothing else. So giving thanks that this power, this presence, this energy, this goodness is revealing itself right here and right now in each of us. And as we open ourselves to this evening event, we recognize with excitement, anticipation, and joy that the goodness that's revealed to us sustains us in ways that's uplifting, sustains us in ways that makes us know and know that we know that the life we live is God expressing in and around and through Reverend Aikya, in and around and through each of us. So giving thanks that her talk is fulfilling, that her talk has some nuggets for each of us. We open wide our thought process to be receptive for the goodness that she delivers to us tonight, knowing that it is powerful, that it stimulates us, that we're grateful to be here, and it creates a joy that makes for a wonderful, wonderful evening. For this, I give great thanks for it. I release it and accept it as done. So please affirm with me by saying, and so it is.
Oh, it is. Yes. So thank you, Jody, for that wonderful prayer. And it's time now to turn this over to our speaker for tonight. So let's give a warm welcome to Reverend Aikya.
Hello, it's so good to be here for Wednesday Oasis, and I'm delighted to be talking about the still small voice. And it might be a voice, or it might be a physical feeling, or it could be just a new idea that comes to you, but there's some way that God guides each one of us and shows us what our next step can be. And that's what I'm going to explore. And I did find some things in the Bible. I do apologize for people who get a little nervous about the Bible, but the first one is where it comes from the story which gave us this phrase, the still small voice, as it is translated in the King James Bible. And that's a whole adventure with the prophet Elijah. Elijah was living in a kind of a dangerous time for prophets. The people were angry at the prophets and angry that things weren't going well, and they were killing all the prophets. And so Elijah ran away to the mountains so that he wouldn't get killed. And so he was up in the mountains in a cave, and there was, and God said, "What are you doing up here, Elijah?" And so he explained the danger that he was in, that all the prophets, all the other ones had been killed, and he came up there to be safe. Well, God said, "Oh, don't worry, just go up on that hill and wait. God will be coming by there." And so Elijah went up the hill, and just the way we would do, Elijah was just like us. What do? We look outside ourselves for the answer or whatever. So he's looking outside and expecting, something dramatic, something amazing. And the first thing that happens is there's a tremendous wind that blows everything all around. Some of the rocks even fall over. Oh, wow. But Elijah was a prophet. He talked to God often, and God was not in that wind. Well, the next thing that happened, there was an earthquake. Everything shook. Oh my goodness, it was rather scary. But once again, God was not in that earthquake. And after that, a fire came. So many of the bushes were burned. But Elijah could tell God was not in that fire. And after that came a gentle whisper. A gentle whisper. And Elijah pulled his cloak over his head and stepped outside the cave. Then a voice said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah explained the danger he was in. And God understood. And from then on, God spoke to him and told him what to do to remain safe. Step by step, he explained it. So that still small voice in this version of the story was called a gentle whisper. When we turn, reality pays attention. When we turn and really pay attention, God speaks in a voice we can hear. There's another story, of course, that's very famous, where Moses sees the burning bush and turns and goes to it to find out what is going on. This bush is burning, but it's not burning up. And he goes up to it and he pays attention. So this is a key part of getting guidance from God, is to pay attention where you are. So Moses goes over to see what's happening with this burning bush. And then God speaks to him, "Moses, Moses." And Moses answers, "Here I am." And the rest of the story, God asks him to take off his shoes because he's standing on holy ground. Well, no matter where we are, no need for a burning bush. If we remember that God is all there is, and God is everywhere, even right exactly where we are, even in and through us, expressing as us, wherever we stand at that moment of remembering is holy ground. I bet you've been on holy ground sometime today. So God's voice is heard in other stories in the Bible. At Jesus' baptism, after he's baptized, the voice of God says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." And something very similar comes at the Transfiguration, when a bright cloud envelops Jesus, Peter, James, and John, and a voice in the cloud pretty much says the same thing with an added request. "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." So that was an extra. So, and then before his crucifixion, when Jesus tells the disciples what's going to happen, God speaks again. He says, "I have glorified it and will glorify it again." So the it there is Jesus. And the first glorification was giving Jesus the power to heal, to make the blind see, the deaf hear, the dead come back to life. And then, of course, he was going to be put to death, but God glorifies him again in the resurrection. So all those times in the Bible stories talks about when God speaks out loud in an audible way. So what does it sound like when God speaks to you? It sounds like peace. It may not be a voice using words, could be physical sensation, an urge to change direction, a feeling of rootedness or lightness. It could even be music. But whatever it is, that peacefulness will be felt by you for sure. The voice of God may not be calm, but it will be peaceful. So the still small voice will stand out in peaceful contrast to the anxiety, pressure, and clamor of the other voices in our heads, brought to us by the media, coming through the news. Peaceful, the still small voice will be. So what did Ernest Holmes say about the still small voice? Well, actually, he never mentioned the still small voice, but he did talk about something that many people equate with the idea of a still small voice: intuition. He says, "Our consciousness expands through meditation and contemplation, through conscious communion with the invisible, and through our intuition, which is the voice of spirit in us." So as you long for guidance, it can come through your intuition. I'm sure many of you can think of at least one experience in your life when your intuition has guided you to start something new, to go in a different direction. It has guided you in some way that resulted in something good, something better. Rumi also talks about the still small voice. Rumi says, "There is a voice that does not use words." Once again, all the other possibilities. And there's a story that was posted by a man named Mike Mason. It's quite fascinating. He was about to be married and he really loved his fiancée, but he had a doubt. He thought maybe he was supposed to be a monk. And he was just kind of tossing around about this the day before his wedding. And he decided he was going to fast until God gave him a clear answer. Which thing should he do? And he was prepared to fast for 40 days if necessary. That would have really messed up the marriage and the wedding plans. Anyway, God answered a few hours into his fast. And here's what Mike says about that experience. All of a sudden, I knew his voice. No audible words, no ticker tape running across my retina, no great emotional upheaval. Indeed, the Lord's answer was as small and understated as it is possible to imagine. And what was communicated is this: you may do whatever you wish. You're entirely free. I am with you and will mightily bless whatever you choose. But I shall be a little more pleased, just the tiniest bit, if you choose Karen. And so Mike was able to happily go forth and enjoy his wedding day and hopefully the rest of his life with his beloved. It was a voice, an answer that was as small and understated as it is possible to imagine. So, how do we hear the still small voice in us? Well, first of all, we have to ask for God's guidance and attentively wait. Ask God for guidance and wait. We don't know how the answer will come. It may come immediately, it may not come for a long time. But while you're waiting, lovingly bless everyone and everything around you. This is something anybody can do. You don't have to be, a minister or anything. Anybody can lovingly bless other people. I know Reverend Dr. Judith Frauenglass has a way of blessing people by smiling at them when she sees them on the street. So that's a good thing to do. Bless everyone and everything around you. If you're going into a new place, bless it. Wish everything goes well for the people you meet. Wish prosperity and good health, good humor and joy for everyone. Bless everyone as you're waiting for God's answer. Prayer and meditation help too, especially meditation. Meditation teaches you about your mind. When you're meditating, no matter what kind of meditation you try to do, as you're attempting to be still and meditate, your mind does just what minds do. It thinks. It worries. Feelings come up just when you're trying to be peaceful. All these things come. Maybe something from your childhood. Who knows? All sorts of things come up. And you get to watch them march in and let them go, no matter what they are. And after a while doing that, you realize, I'm here, but the thoughts are gone. I'm here, but the feelings have passed through. I'm still here. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not the mind that generates these thoughts, the body and the mind that generates these emotions. What am I? I am the awareness that sees it all, sees all in my own mind, and sees all. This awareness doesn't have a form. It's not like the mind. You know, the mind has, well, it's got all those thoughts. And it's not like the biography, you know. It wasn't born, and it doesn't need to die because it wasn't born. It's formless. Only something with a form needs to be born. And eventually falls apart and dies. It can't be injured. It doesn't wear out, this awareness. Wow. This awareness that I am, that sees all these amazing things in my mind, in the world. Wow, how far are you from awareness? Now, from an object that you're aware of, you know, like I don't know, like an apple or an orange, you can say, well, it's over there, it's about 4 feet away. But awareness? No. You can't measure because it is yourself. It has no form. So how many are there? If there's, wait a minute, it has no form? If it has only things that have a form, you can count. 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples. But awareness has no form. So there's only one. There's only one awareness. You can count minds or biographies. You can count chairs or tables. You can count people. But awareness, there's only one. That one awareness looks out of all eyes. Yours, your friends, your parents, your children, your pets. Yes, that one awareness looks out of all animals' eyes as well. One awareness. God's awareness and your awareness. That's the other thing. Since there's only one, God's awareness and your awareness are one and the same. Now, we all know that God knows a whole lot more than any one of us about the whole universe and how it works. We just know a little bit. God knows all. But the awareness shining on it, that is one and the same. That one and the same awareness, which is the same for God and for all the people and all the animals, that one and the same awareness is what expresses as you. It is the source of your divinity. It is God's life expressing in and through you. I wanted to share something with now that we know this wonderful thing. Now what? So what are we to do now? How does life move forward as we listen for the guidance of God, which can come as a saying, it can come as a physical experience, it can come as an inspiration to do something new, it can come from another person who may walk up and tell you, just say a sentence, and right away you know, oh, how true. That must be what I must do next. So all these things, all these ways that you can be guided. And knowing your divine self, God expressing as you, I wanted to share a prayerful ending. And Freddie, it's time for that slide. It is time for the slide. There it is. So the prayer is, here it goes. I think I learned this in Unity. I used it in Agape. I live my life. You think of this as coming from you. I live my life for a divine purpose. I was given a precious gift by God, and I meant to share it. My heart is full of love, and I am an indispensable element for peace on this planet. I center myself in the oneness of spirit and allow its healing energy to enter my soul. At the deepest level of my being, I feel spirit's energy traveling through all parts of my body. It cleanses me and brings me into wholeness. Light illuminates me at the cellular level, balances me, and frees me to express my unique presence. I am lifted up. All blocks and burdens dissolve. I am lifted up. All blocks and burdens dissolve. Worries and fears disappear. I am alive in the presence of the sacred all. And you can all join me by saying, and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen. And thus ends my little talk for today.
Beautiful.
So we're going to open it up now for discussion. Anyone who has any questions, comments, inspirations, feel free to turn your microphones on, or at least your cameras. Turn your mic on if you want to say something. And if you know how to raise your hand on Zoom, do that. If not, just give us a wave, and Freddie and I will try to help Reverend Aikya find you if you want to say something. Andrea.
Andrea?
Wow, Reverend Aikya, that was really a phenomenal gift that you gave us. So
Thank
well
you.
thought out and so appealing. I'm just really impressed. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is kind of a funny thing. Like, I have had intuition all my life. I have been in touch with that still small voice all my life. So it's just interesting to hear you say that, because I don't know, like uh I don't have anything else to say really. But I do remember this one time when I was at a real point of like confusion, or things were changing, whatever. And I went to the Newman Hall. I was working in Berkeley, and I went to a service during the middle of the day at the Catholic Newman Hall Center.
Mhm.
And I remember just being in the pews and just getting into this sort of meditative trance. and saying to myself, understand. I just kept saying the word understand, understand, understand. And I think I must have been chanting that word for maybe half an hour. And then peace came. And then I knew I was complete. And that kind of thing has happened to me before, but that's the story that sticks out for me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Anybody else have a time when intuition really made a big difference for them? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was gonna say, as you were talking, I was thinking about that question we always have, how do I know this is intuition, not just wishful thinking or me putting my 2 cents in? And a couple of things came to mind. One was when I have an intuition, it's not the end of a train of thought, it just kind of pops out of nowhere.
Mm.
And often if I get words, it's not necessarily the words that I would have chosen. But I liked what you said too about it comes with a feeling of peace. It's like there's just this everything goes quiet, sort of like this, and you're like, okay. So it was a good addition to my little list that I was making in my head.
Before I had, I don't know, a long time ago, I remember I used to doubt. I'm like a champion doubter. So I would always doubt these hunches that I would get or these intuitions or these whatever. And I'd go through a whole big thing. Well, is it a good thing? Will it hurt me? Will it hurt anybody else? Will it bring more goodness into the world? I'd have to go through all this stuff before I would let myself trust. It's a really big deal to trust your own still small voice. Anybody else with a thought?
Hello.
Go ahead, Dodie.
I still do read Goldsmith, and Goldsmith has said many times, he said, when he's in meditation, he says, speak, Lord, your servant hears. And I used to use that a lot because I really wanted to hear, because I really believed this. This happened to me. God spoke to me once. And I got so, I don't know, so off with it that it frightened me. It pulled me. It did it in a way that I wasn't excited about it. I wasn't happy. I wasn't wanting it. And as I've grown in my own spiritual journey, I've learned to be open to that. And when I would read Goldsmith and he said, speak, Lord, your servant hears, that's what I wanted to happen then. But it didn't
So tell
happen.
me again what it is he said, because I'm not hearing you.
He said, speak, Lord, your servant hears. And this is in meditation to allow you to go there. But it doesn't do that. It doesn't speak to me like that. I get a feeling. So we all get different connections. And mine is a feeling. And I really wanted to hear, but it doesn't come like that.
For each person, it's different. I love how Reverend Sunshine told about all the different ways the guidance can come to you, because, and whoever I was partnered with, it was Robert Leeds, and he said he gets a gut feeling, literally feels something in his body, and then he knows, this is it, this is the one.
Yeah.
Anybody else? How does intuition show up for you? Maybe. Oh, I see. Sabrina. Oh, there you are.
Mute too. Hello, thank you so much, Reverend Aikya. This was a beautiful, wonderful presentation, and the word intuition really resonated with me. And I started understanding a little clearer how I hear the voice when I started doing visioning and asking those questions. So, those guiding questions that you were talking about, and learning to ask the empowering questions for guidance rather than, the negative questions. And just sitting there and being still, and I think I saw Dorothy, be still and know. I started to actually feel and realize that it was a feeling, and it is a feeling of peace. It's a feeling of, sometimes when I go into visioning and having to set up that field of love really does help me, because the chaos, I can't feel or hear God in the chaos. And once I'm calm and in that realm of love, I can actually feel it, and I feel it like in the center of my chest, like from my soul. That portable temple of God that you describe.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And so it's always there. I can step out of a meeting if I need to calm down and connect with God in that way. So I really appreciate what you said about awareness, because now it's an awareness of knowing what that feeling is. And as soon as I feel that feeling, I'm like, I got it. I hear you. Thank you. And it's just so beautiful. So thank you for talking about the different ways that we hear it. Another way, so there's a feeling, but I also have another way. And another way is I'm noticing, and I don't know why this became a thing, that I feel like God speaks to me in threes. Like I'll experience or hear something, and then maybe like a minute later, I'll hear it again in another way from another source. And then it could be like tomorrow or next week, there it is again, and I put it together, and it's like feel it then. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So it's the awareness and understanding, like you said, the awareness is the oneness. And what a journey that is. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have a way that the still small voice comes to them or intuition comes to them? It's funny, I'm not seeing people's faces. So if you, oh, here, now I can see everybody. Anybody have another story they would like to share about maybe the importance of intuition, or sometimes, something happens in your family, and because of intuition, you know, things take a different turn, you go off in a different direction, or a decision is made in the family that wouldn't have been made otherwise. I don't know, just thinking of things.
Freya, did you want to say something?
Freya,
You're muted.
unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
This topic has been definitely in my mind lately, and not just from CSL, but well, I went to a memorial and I was looking at pictures of the history of this person, and I thought, oh my goodness, they were felt somehow they felt compelled to do what they did. And I thought, wow, what am I feeling compelled to do in my life? And how can I change that if I wanted to be different? And so I'm but you talk about intuition, and I'd have thoughts that drop into my head. Like tonight, I'm thinking, oh, Wednesday Oasis, You know, I always enjoy that. And I thought, no, 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 I need to cook and eat. And then Wednesday Oasis, it just kept coming into my mind. And so and there's a feeling that goes with it, probably like in my belly or something, but I don't, it's it's just I don't know how to pinpoint it. And maybe someday I will be able to, and maybe not. I don't know. And but then there's also when I was I lived in Virginia, and when I thought there's got to be more life to life than this. You know, I'm in my 30s, and um and I went out into the garden in the spring, and I put my hands in the soil, and this thought came to me. And that's what's one thing that's happened over and over. Just a thought drops into my mind, and it said, I have been with you always. Now that's not like an intuition, but it's something out of my thinking that showed up there. And it's been kind of a guiding light to me all these years. Um, because I don't define that voice. I just my mother said it was Jesus, and a friend of my sister said, "Oh, that's the white witch talking to you." So I thought it'd be better just to not to define it and just experience it and see what happened. And I ended up in California, which I'm so glad I'm here. So I'd like to know more. I have some experiences, but I would like to know more about, have it help me eat better and stuff like that. Be more healthy. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you very much. That's beautiful. I am with you always. Anybody else with something they'd like to share? Judith? Oh, just adjusting your camera. Oh, you have to unmute though. Please unmute so we can hear you.
There.
Yeah.
Ah,
Many years ago, I was walking in a San Francisco park, and there's a little bridge, several bridges, some water, a stream goes through this park. And I think it would have been a silent request coming up because I didn't feel like I was asking for something. And nobody was around me at this time. And as I was standing there was just a presence, as if it was an answer. I don't know what the question was though. I still did not know what the question was, but there was, I mean, the park is a noisy place, but all sound went away. There was no sound. And I was just there. I felt that spirit was seeing me completely. And it wasn't scary. It was peaceful.
peaceful, right?
It was peaceful. And I didn't, on some situations I would say, what the heck is this? What's going on? And I didn't want to do that. I didn't have any need to do that. I was just there. I was there, and this presence was there. And I'm not even sure the time frame, because time frames kind of disappear. So it could have been like only a minute. It could have been 5 minutes. I don't know. I just was there. Nobody else was around me. There were no noises from the park and dogs and everything, nothing. And then I came back into my Judith. I came back into Judith and was just, and I don't know, I felt inside me, I felt a thank you. Just thank you. So that was that.
Thanks for sharing that. That's beautiful. Anyone else with a thought to share or a story to remember?
You mentioned family, so I'll tell my story, which is not a peaceful feeling. So it sort of proves it comes in all sorts of ways. I the kids were little. They were probably like 18 months and 3.5, and I'd taken them up in the hills to go hiking one time and parked, and we started down a trail, and I just had this sense of like my intuition telling me, don't go down there. Sort of a feeling of danger. And I thought, well, there's a creek down there. Maybe this is a bad idea. There's another, we hadn't gone very far, and there was another trail off that parking lot. So I said, let's just go on the other trail. So I got the kids and we went down there, and that was fine for a little while. About 2 minutes in, I started feeling this growing sense of dread, which turned into sort of abject terror and feeling like I was being watched. And I was just about to go, maybe we just need to stop. And Laurel, who was like tiny little thing right then, started to run ahead. And that was it. I was like, stop, gathered the kids up and said, we're not doing this right now. Got back in the car and left. No idea what that was about until a few days later, there was an elderly couple walking in that same trail, and the guy got attacked by a mountain lion. And
Oh,
his wife had to fight him off with a tree branch. Oh no, I think she had a walking stick. She had something. I think it was a tree branch that she grabbed. Um, very seriously injured. And I thought, here's my daughter who's like bite-sized.
ah,
So that
Oh,
was not a peaceful feeling. It didn't come with words for me like it normally does. It was just this, I mean, I can't even describe the feeling of just complete terror.
yeah.
So
wow,
yeah, it does come in all sorts of ways.
Hmm.
wow.
And a good thing that did come. I mean, and you got out of there. Yeah.
You
Wow.
always hear these stories, like I think about, 9/11, they were estimating the number of people who would have been killed in that building 4 times what it ended up being, and just tons of people who normally would have been at work at that time weren't at work at that time. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's true. Probably lots of stories of getting redirected, shall
Yeah,
we say.
in various, well, sometimes it's listening to other people too. I've told this story where I was trying to decide moving to California, LA, or San Francisco, and I won't go into the whole long story, but I got to the airport and was told by, one person what gate to go to. I was checked my luggage and was told to go to that gate. I went to that gate, got a boarding pass, and just as I was about to go through the doors to go on the plane, the guy went, "Wait, where are you going?" I was on a plane to Los Angeles, and I thought, and he was putting me on a plane to San Francisco because it was the wrong. So everyone was directing me to San Francisco.
Oh, we're so glad.
That's interesting. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Andrea, unmute yourself.
Um, I just put eye drops in my eyes.
Oh,
Um, so this is sort of a related topic. Um, there are people in my life um, who are even related to me who have had a much harder time. I mean, I've definitely had a I would say I've had a hard life too, but they've had a harder time. And I've always been mystified that, we could come from the same family and our understanding of intuition and basic common sense about what to do in your life is so vastly different. Incomplete.
oh, thank you.
The, I'll go. These
Dodie, go ahead.
stories are so gentle. And I love them because, you know, in your head, in my head, I think it should be louder. You know, these incidents
Huh.
are be stronger, like the bounce and really kind of come out so that it's fully understood and said and make noise with it. And these stories that are so ever present are usually so gentle. Like the stories with Ali was talking about this thing that frightened her or whatever. But it was a movement of gentleness as opposed to a get out of there, you know? Somehow it feels we would be more open to discussing our relationship with the divine or our awareness of the divine if it had been more traumatic or I don't know, maybe braver, more louder. But these stories, and I guess that's the way it is because that's how you get it. But well, when you talk about the burning bush, you know, in your head, a burning bush, that would be something. But I read a story about the burning bush, and it was just, it appeared to have been just a lighted burning bush. I don't know if there was heat coming from it. I don't know if it was, you know, you would be kind of scared of fire or whatever, but it feels like this is the stories that each person is telling. It's just a oneness. It's just an awareness. And I guess without having that heavier expectation, no, this should happen and it should be so broad, so deep, so out there that it would like, you know, like not shake the world, but at least shake you. But they don't come like that. They're gentle and
I know that's why I love the all the different things where Elijah was looking toward the fire and the earthquake and all the dramatic
Right,
stuff.
right.
God wasn't in any of them.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then came a gentle whisper. Wow.
And that makes sense because God is everywhere. So that means it's in every population, animals, plants. So you can't keep, I wouldn't say you can't, you probably could light fires and do all this and make it so blatant, so obvious, so apparent. If we can gently touch each of us in a way that we can take it in, that's God expressing.
Forces us to participate.
Yeah.
We're over, but Dorothy, I think had your hand up. Do you have something real quick? Are you still there? No?
Well, I was just thinking about that still voice within. And my cousin was a fireman at 9/11 in New York City. And his mother was in the hospital dying from pancreatic cancer.
Mm.
And one of the things that he kept saying, Dorothy, I have to get to see my mother. I have to see my mother and let her know that I'm okay. And he did that,
Oh,
covered with cement and everything from that 9/11
right.
tragic event that took place in New York. And he went there, and the nurses and the doctors and everyone around him wanted to comfort him. But his thought was, no, my mother is number one in my life, and that's where I have to go. And 2 weeks after 9/11, his mother made her transition to the other side of life. But that still voice is real. It is real, and people should listen to it. I have this thing, and I know the Dr. Dans always know that I say, be still and know that God is all there is.
Mm.
And I am saying to you all right now, it is real. It is real. And be still and know that God is all there is. And all you have to do is tune into that. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Dorothy's
Thank you,
preaching
Dorothy.
tonight. So let's give Reverend Aikya some love. That was a wonderful talk. Yay.
Yay! Thank you.
Yeah.
Get out your notepads, your calendars, whatever. We got a bunch of announcements tonight. Let's bring the slides up if we can. And we'll start with that. All right. Let me actually get to where I can see them because I want to make sure I'm saying what's on the slide. There we go. This Sunday, March 16th, Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott will be speaking on I Got It, I Lost It. The invitation starts at 10 with the service at 10:30. Next Wednesday, March 19th, at our midweek Oasis, join Maud Wilson for an encore conversation on the topic I Got It, I Lost It. Meditations at 6:30 and service at 7 on Zoom. Our daily readers for 2025 are 365 Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, and Daily Gratitude Reflections, Volume 2 by Deborah Perdue. So join us in doing these daily affirmations and readings. The season of nonviolence continues on January 30th to April 4th, commemorating the anniversaries of the deaths and celebrating the lives of Mohandas Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. We are honoring Lent also from March 5th to April 17th. Choose something that distracts you from staying grounded and fast from it during this Lenten time. Fast and pray for greater groundedness, focus, and serenity. And then we welcome back Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott on March 16th for her workshop after the service. Just say no, hell no to aging gracefully. Join us for a lively and fun discussion in the social hall. Visit oaklandcsl.org and select classes and workshops in order to register. The Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group continues its series on March 16th, Sunday after the service, 12:45 to 2:15 in the sanctuary. All are welcome. Join 10 Voices, 10 Women, 10 Days of Mindful Practice, March 10th to 19th. Text JOIN to 470-784-0250. There's more information at newthoughtmindset.com. And I think that's our own senior minister whose picture I see on there. Please join the Ministry of Prayer for our new Friday night prayer happy hour starting Friday, March 21st, 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. It'll be every Friday except the fourth Friday of the month with practitioners Maureen French and Megan Lemon. And this is an open invitation to anchor in prayer with your spiritual community. Visit oaklandcsl.org events and click on the image and use the passcode 123456. The 2025 annual meeting will be on Sunday, March 23rd after the service at 1. Please bring a potluck dish to share. We encourage in-person participation, but you can join us on live stream if you cannot come in person. The community potluck and Bring a Friend Sunday is kicking off. It will be every fourth Sunday beginning March 23rd. Deborah Jackson, our board member, is leading this project and putting together a committee for setup and cleanup. So if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, contact Deborah at oaklandcsl.org. That's her email address. The Diversity Circle meets March 28th on 7 p.m. at Zoom. Go to oaklandcsl.org groups page for details and the Zoom link. We're also noting Ramadan, February 28th to March 29th, the most sacred month of the year in Islamic culture. Our nonprofit partner for March and April is New Bridge Foundation, a nonprofit, non-medical addiction treatment facility with over 50 years of experience. You can go to newbridgefoundation.org for more information. There's more. Our OCSL Social Justice Ministry meets on the first Sunday of the month, April 6th, in the social hall, 1 to 3 p.m. Please join us in sacred activism to create a world that works for everyone. Agape Bay Area is bringing Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith to the Bay Area, building bridges, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 1:30, First Congregational Church of Oakland. Visit agapebayarea.com for details and to purchase tickets. Our Oakland OCSL 80th Anniversary Gala celebration is September 20th, 2025, and we will be celebrating our rich legacy and history. Along those lines, we are the change, so bring your spare coins to OCSL and drop them in the designated collection jars in the sanctuary. We're raising money for our gala, and every small contribution adds up to big change for our community. We can make a difference one coin at a time. And as fundraising goes, we're still doing our chair dedication. You can purchase a plate with your own inscription, be put on the back of one of our chairs. There's more information at oaklandcsl.org on the events page. The Spirit Treasure Bookstore celebrates Women's History Month with 30% off all books by women authors. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. You can follow us on Instagram to Facebook. And please, while you're there, like and subscribe to Oakland Center Today. And visit csl.org to see what's happening within our Centers for Spiritual Living global organization. So we're transitioning now. We're making a rapid transition because we're a little bit over time to conscious giving. Conscious giving it's a celebration, it's an expression of gratitude, and it's also a spiritual practice. In giving, we celebrate our community and we express gratitude for all the folks who give of their time, talent, and treasure to sustain it. We also acknowledge our place in that universal flow of power and abundance, and we put our intentions for greater experiences of abundance into action. So please, if you're muted, you can do this aloud, but please read with me as I read our giving affirmation for tonight. I freely give what I have, and the divine source multiplies it in return. We have various ways to donate. If you go to the oaklandcsl.org and click on the donate button, it'll bring you to a page where you will see how you can donate by cash, check, text, Zelle, QR code. Just pick whichever one you like for today and do that. And now we'd like to show our appreciation for all those who have offered their time, talent, and presence to tonight's service. Our speaker, Reverend Aikya Param. Our meditator, Dr. Judith Frownglass. Dodie Cheney Fernandez, religious science practitioner emerita, who did our opening prayer. And Reverend Aikya, who's going to do our closing prayer. We want to thank especially our tech host for tonight, Freddie Lambright, who is covering all the tech roles because he is a man of many talents. And in the background, our administrative coordinator, Steve Carter, who prepared our slides for tonight. And finally, all of you, because your presence has added to the vibe for our service tonight. And your presence has added to it, whether you're here tonight or whether you're watching later, because that's how time works in the absolute. So now I'd like to transition to Reverend Aikya for our closing prayer.
Right here and right now, I connect with the presence of God exactly where I am, exactly where each one of us is, expressing as us. And I am so grateful for this service, the opportunity to get together, to share the ways that God has guided us today and in our lives. I give thanks for the opportunity, for the blessing that this service has been for each of us, knowing that the goodness of God expresses in our lives from this moment forward. We are blessed, we are guided, guarded, and protected. Please join me by anchoring this prayer with a thankful heart by saying, "And so it is."
And so it is.
Yes.
Yes.
So it is.
And we can end the recording. So thank